Yeah, that's better. You can get it. Marvelous.
Yo, what's good? Welcome back to the channel, y'all. And look, with the last weekend of OP10, OP10 coming to a close in the East, I think it's time we provide the streets the deck list that everybody's asking for. Look, if you guys are brand new to the One Piece card game, or you're just a old veteran, I mean, you're literally ancient at this point. Since you guys have been playing since pre-release, we have some of the old heads in here. Grandpa snooze fest after every time you see any type of deck that's not your own. This is still going to be a video you're going to want to tap into. This is every single first place or top finishing deck list from the East for OP10. I'm not going to feature nothing from EBO2 until EBO2 does get here, and then I'll have another form of this type of video. But we have over 35 plus decks to go over. But before we start, let's just go over the count of deck profiles, okay? The One Piece topdecks.com actually provided a graph. You guys see it right here of all the topping decks. So the #1 deck so far in the Eastern OP10 meta was OP01 Dofi with around 27 decks. That's on the One Piece top deck, which is actually insane. Second most popular deck right behind Blue Dofi is Blackbeard. So these are more likely going to be the best decks of the format until a ban list does come. A ban list, we should be getting a ban list like 4 or 5 days before our official meta actually starts. So depending on what this ban list looks like, also depends on if Dofi's still going to be #1 or Blackbeard. But let's be real, Dofi gets backed up, Blackbeard best deck, and now all the other decks that got locked up by Dofi can now play the game. Fact, not an opinion. But nonetheless, we have Blackbeard right here, spinning block, second best deck. When we look at the third best deck, it's actually the count of decks. I wouldn't say it's the best deck. It's just by representation of how many top decks are. I guess you guys can't say the third best deck. Third best deck is, I guess, is Usopp right here. Usopp, that's what it looks like. Usopp looks like around like 17, 18. Right after that, it's OP05 Luffy right here, sitting probably like around 14, somewhere around there. Then right after that has to be Shanks, which we already found out Shanks is one of the most losingest decks in One Piece history, so we're just going to completely disregard that. And after that, we just followed by a whole bunch of other random decks. We have Bonnie right here, Shanks, we have Lucci, Lim, finding some type of popularity. ST13 is damn near almost not even being played, so everybody complaining about my particular deck that I'm using, shut your bitch ass up. Your pussies are no longer going to be hurting, swelling up after every time you say my deck's name. And for all the haters that don't like ST13, don't worry. ST13 is probably about to fall off a cliff with this set with the Blackbeard support. Blackbeard in itself just turns off the whole entire deck. If it's a shiesty Blackbeard player, nobody that should be playing Blackbeard should be losing, especially if Dofi does get hit right here. Fact, that opinion. But nonetheless, besides all of that, you guys see all of the particular decks being used. We even got an Arlong here, and I made sure to pretty much incorporate every single one of these top decks. So here's the count of the deck list. Pause it if you guys still want to look at it. We're not going to sit here all day. I mean, look, we're not in calculus, we're not trying to draw no graphs. This isn't the stock. So let's go ahead and get straight to all of the deck lists that we have for the video, gang. Let's get it. So welcome back to the Sim. So like I said earlier, we do have nothing but deck lists for you guys. We have over 35 deck lists. I'm not going to show you my BY list until we actually get to the BY section of this video. But as you guys can see, we have a ton of deck lists to go over 35. We have a ton. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get straight into our first list, which is Shanks. If this is your first time ever seeing a video like this on the channel, pretty much what we're going to do is that we're just going to hover over every single one of these cards, like what you see right here, and briefly talk about my personal opinions with Shanks or just the OP10 meta. I've been playing the OP10 meta ever since the East started their meta. Okay, so I've been playing probably this meta over 2,000 or 3,000 hours, so I have a really good understanding. I'm not just catching up. I literally left OP10 in the dust because it's so fucking boring, and I've been on this meta for a minute, so I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to decks in this particular meta, with this particular meta and EBO2. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start. First deck we got right here is Shanks. Like I told you guys earlier, Shanks just very underwhelming. It can still perform just because it does have a good Blackbeard matchup. This is Blackbeard is still really good, probably the best deck if piloted correctly. Nothing can beat it. This particular card really shits on Blackbeard just because he can trash the Burgess, well, you know, anytime this card gets brought out. So that's the reason why this deck is really shite. As long as Blackbeard is in the meta and fucking everybody's bitch like it's been doing, this deck, mainly this card, is the reason why this deck is even doing anything. Okay, so but nonetheless, just in a nutshell, Shanks, I don't know, I just feel like it's just overhyped. I feel like if people just stop playing this deck, because the reason why this deck is just doing so, you know, mid or even anything at all is because there's so many people playing this deck, and I just think it's just from the anime. People love Shanks, being able to close out games with the Goldie Roger, like I said, with the Beckman, just being able to trash the Burgess for Blackbeard. But besides that, really underwhelming deck. I feel like Shanks is just not it, and that's the reason why it got exposed during that you know, the world statistics when we did with Gavin a couple days ago. Next deck we got right here is the Boa. Look, Boa's actually not a bad choice, y'all. If you guys do want to play something that's not Blue Doflamingo, or if you are really on this train of, you know, thinking Blue Doflamingo is going to get murdered, this is a top performing deck that did show out in the East. Boa has actually increased its numbers in the East as well. I'm not sure if it's just popularity or just this deck is just really shicey, but very good option for all of our blue players. And on top of that, when it comes to EBO2, you guys are getting a brand new art, which looks pretty shite in my personal opinion. Pretty much they just spilled a whole bunch of gold glitter all over the card and called it Dunzo. And yeah, so if you guys are a big Boa fan, this is a championship winning list right here. The next deck is the deck we shall not say. And that is the deck we shall not say. So let's go ahead and go straight out to another deck we could actually talk about before my mic catches on fire. Next deck we got right here is a People's Champ. This is one of the most looked out for deck for OP10. This is a really big fanfare. I feel like this is the Shanks of the set, to be honest with you. Everybody wants to play blue, black, Usopp, whether it'll just be Usopp the character or the color combination. Very popular deck, but nonetheless, I felt like blue, black, Usopp, just looking how the meta developed over time. This deck started off real hot, slowed down, and then at the tail end of the actual OP10 meta before EBO2 got re-released into the East, this deck was actually considered the third best deck of the format, right behind Blue Doflamingo and also Blackbeard. If you guys also notice this as well, I do not see a Gecko Moria being played in this deck list. A lot of decks with Usopp has now cut that Gecko Moria. So tell us how you guys feel about this. They're literally completely cutting the Gecko Moria for this Rebecca. Rebecca is literally a Gecko Moria 2.0. This is a template, but this is a championship winning list. I mean, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't think this list, I mean, maybe you guys could change out the ratios with this and Gum and maybe some of these, but I feel like this might just be the list you guys, everybody just needs to really be tapped into. Next deck we got right here is Blue Dofi, another snooze fest deck. I'm gonna be real with you. There's no real reason to really pay attention to any of these deck lists. Nothing has changed from EBO2 or EBO1, or not EBO1, when the structure decks came out. Nothing's changed in OP09, and nothing's changed in OP10. At this point, I'm ready for this bitch ass leader. Just get the fuck out of here. You already done enough damage already. I'm tired of seeing this deck. When you go to locals, 90% of people got this deck. It's a cheat. Look, I can go all day about Dofi, but we'll see what happens. Okay, the guns and AKs are really getting ready to be brought out to, you know, turn that card to switch Siege. So we'll see what happens. Next deck that's actually top, this has a first place finish, is this purple blue Reiju. The thing about this particular deck is that it does have a very high skill ceiling. One of the biggest combo decks in the game. Another thing about this deck is that if you don't see this stage, you pretty much almost lose. This deck is very stage reliant. So, you know, if you don't see stage, or if you play a yellow deck that removes your stage with Brahim, you're pretty much going to get spun. You're going to get put in a pack real fast, real fast. But nonetheless, this deck is very shice. If you guys do want another combo version of a deck that's not ďuⱠ or Greed Yellow Law, this is definitely the deck to really use. I mean, and on top of having the judge, if you guys thought Gecko Moria was a problem, just read what the card does. It brings back 4 characters from the trash, just being able to cycle out for the EGG apply pressure. Blackberry, one of the most broken purple cards in the game. If you guys have not picked this up, make sure you pick this up, and make sure you use my link, my affiliate link. If you guys are buying anything, you guys made it this far, make sure you guys are using my affiliate link in the description to help a brother out. Like I said, we are one of the most hated motherfuckers in this bitch, and nigga don't give a fuck, because hey, if you don't like how we doing shit over here, you can suck a dick. Fact, not an opinion.
I'm sorry. Actually, what I said was, how would you like to suck my balls, Mr. Garcia?
We don't complain about none of the bitch ass shit going on. Next deck we got right here is Rebecca. Blue, black Rebecca. I was actually a big fan of this deck when it first came out, you know, with all the support, as you guys can see. But as time progressed, this deck has literally done fucking nothing. I mean, you guys see the topping deck list. This was literally week 1, and after week 1, you never saw this leader again. And it's not just because of the leader's effect. It's really just because this bitch can't attack. That's just really the real reason why. I mean, having a leader not attacking, you're pretty much losing a turn with pressure, and that's the reason why this deck just is just, I don't know, it's just not really performing. Any leaders that just cannot attack outside of Vegapunk, I feel like it's just not that good. The only reason why Vegapunk is pretty shiesty is just because of the triggers applying pressure. Next deck we have right here is the Limb. Limb is found popularity at the beginning of the format, and then after probably like the first 2 weeks, Limb fell off. We didn't see it, and then it ended up getting a top 8 finish at one of the biggest Japanese tournaments in the East. Fact, not an opinion. You guys see on the screen, this is the deck list from the top 8 finish. Not first, but this is the highest placement version of this particular deck. Just being able to abuse the Zoros and the Dofis, very shice. If you guys are a Limb fan and you guys been waiting to play this deck, this is definitely the time to pick it up. I don't even think this deck even gets any more support after EBO2. So, you know, if you guys do want to play this Limb, this is the best time to play it. It's definitely done something in the beginning, but the thing about Limb is that once people figure out how to play against the deck, you pretty much just might as well just go ahead and leave your local. Next deck we have right here is Bonnie. Green Bonnie has really just fell off a cliff. Ever since OP10 came out, you don't really see a lot of people playing this particular deck anymore, just because our Green Smoker just does a little bit of his job a little bit better. As you guys can see, you are using a couple of cards from our Green Smoker with these 2 cards right here in the Kid. So at that point, why would you even want to run this deck compared to our Green Smoker? We might have some Bonnie fans out there, but this is a, you know, first place finishing deck from the East. So if there's something you guys want to see what's changed in the East for OP10, this is what you guys should be looking at right here. Next deck we got right here is Carrot. This is the only Carrot deck. I've actually forgot what this deck does. You guys see what it does. If it showed up, it showed up. I'm going to show it. I don't care if it only has 1 tournament showing or 50 like Dofi. If it showed up on One Piece top decks, we are showing it. So for all our Carrot fans, go ahead and rejoice. This is your time to scream and do a backflip if you actually really need to. I'm really studying over my words right now. Maybe because I'm high off the Zaza. Look, I'm gone off the Zaza, or I just can't believe some bullshit deck like Carrot actually did something instead of just being a coaster for my hot tea in the morning. Actually pretty impressive by Carrot. Never seen it top before. Green, yellow, Yamato. The thing about this deck is that this deck particularly loses the blockers. If you turn off this leader effect, you can't really do anything, but nonetheless, we're gonna go over this whole entire deck. You are still using the Captain Kid for some lockdown, ending the games for Hody Jones, and also with the Zoro, so extreme amount of pressure here. Besides that, they're just abusing all of the staple green cards, such as these 2 right here. Yeah, I mean, when you just look at this deck, This looks like a whole bunch of other decks just mixed into one and just slapped on a green yellow leader of Yamato. Okay, so if you guys are a green yellow Yamato fan, I'm not saying it's trash, but nigga, I'm telling you that shit is trash. All right, let's be real. Let's keep it a buck. A lot of people don't like the truth. I'm telling you the truth. If I'm telling you that shit's ass, there's a reason why. I usually don't like calling decks ass, but I'm not one of these powder puff, you know, content creators, bro. I tell you how it is, and that's why y'all fuck with me. If something's cheeks, nigga, I'm gonna tell you that something's cheeks. Fact, not opinion.
Trash, but I could tolerate it.
Use this kid, 5 life leader. This is a really good sleeper deck. I usually don't see anybody playing this deck, and if you guys are a RP Kid fan, that you guys can use that to your advantage. The main reason why these road decks always do so good in a big tournament is because nobody knows the matchup, and if you don't know the matchup, you're pretty much assed out. It's almost a free win. So I'm not really you know, too versed with this particular deck, but if you guys tell me if this is a good deck list for RP Kid, I will greatly appreciate it. I'm not really too sure what should be used in that deck, but nonetheless, let's just go ahead and continue. We got Green Utta up next. Green Utta, it did get some support with the structure deck. The only people I really see play this deck is just Utta fans, Green Utta fans. It's not a bad deck, but like I said earlier, with a lot of these other roguish type of deck lists, is that a lot of people don't know how to play against your deck. And if a lot of people don't know how to play against your deck, those are easy wins. Those are easy wins. So if you guys are real shites with this deck and really know your lines, you could really throw off some people off guard, just being able to restand a couple of characters, locking down people with the Captain Kid, resting and popping anything with this Shanks, and abusing this crazy Monkey D. Luffy film blocker. Very shites in my personal opinion. Let's just go ahead and continue here. Next deck we have is Arlong. Arlong does get more support in EBO2. I'm surprised it's actually even topped in OP10, but nonetheless, you guys see why it's topping in OP10. It's just using all the broken yellow and green cards. Fact, not an opinion. Using the Basil Hawkins, the Tashigi, the Flampy, the Shirahoshi. The main reason why this deck is just really just doing so well is because of all the triggers. If you guys haven't seen, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards that have triggers. That's damn near almost more than half of your deck. I went over every single one of these cards just in case I missed a couple. I'll go over them one more time. But yeah, if you guys are a fan of green yellow Arlong will be getting some support in ABO2. So if you guys are a fan of that, just keep on playing it. You will be blessed in a couple months. Next deck we have right here is this yellow kid. We actually don't have it loading. Just give me 1 second. So we are back. My bad. I had to get the deck list because people called it Piss Kid and my whole entire computer just started acting funny, so I had to reload it. But this is a 8-in-1 kid deck list. This is the best showing from any kid list I found on One Piece top deck. So if you guys are a kid fan, if you guys YGOD, Yellow Gang or Die, YGOD, shout out to all my delinquents and all my niggas that hopped off the port. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you guys are down with the gang, this is the best version of the list that I was able to find with the best results. Okay, so we have Shirahoshi. Let's just keep on going. When we just take a look at this particular deck, you guys are using Uroja. You guys are wondering why you guys summon this Uroja, that you give it blocker over 7,000 power. Really hard to get over. The biggest thing what I've noticed about this deck is this Trafalgar D Law. This law we aren't going to have access to as soon as OP10 comes out, and I actually don't even know when we will ever get this particular promo as well. I haven't heard anything about this promo, so this card can be switched out for probably something else, 4 of whatever. I'm not sure what you guys should possibly switch this out for, but we will not be able to have this card. When we just look at 2Ks in the deck, we have 4 right here. We have 4 right here, so that's 8. And then we have 10 2Ks, which means this needs to be switched out for some version of a 2K, maybe 4 Hioris. I don't know. Just these need to, when you guys do switch out this card does need to be a 2K, because if you don't, you're going to be lacking 4 2Ks, which more likely you're going to lose the game if you do that. But we have Law. This is for your Blackbeard matchup. The kid right here just being able to burn a life. And yeah, when we just look at this particular list as a whole, this looks like the best version of this list. Like I said earlier though, when you guys do end up getting the list, you guys are gonna have to switch out 4 of these, or at least a 4 2Ks minimum. So yellow kid, there you go. Stop calling that shit Piss Kid, or I'm gonna have to sue one of y'all motherfuckers, bro. Stop disrespecting. Look, we already talked about this in one of our last video. The delinquent HQ already voted that is no longer allowed to be said in. Look, just don't say it. Just don't say it. Come on, show some YGOD some respect. Fact, not an opinion. Vegapunk has actually been doing waves. I'm telling you, Vegapunk has really been doing a whole bunch of good shit in the tournament scene. Just being able to abuse those triggers out of life. That's the reason why this deck doesn't really get phased by having 2 life, because every single turn you get a life back. Very good deck if you guys do know how to pilot it. It does lose to black just because a lot of its on play gets turned off even outside of life with Blackbeard. So let's be real. I mean, what deck isn't struggling against Blackbeard, especially OP10 Blackbeard though, right? So I guess that doesn't matter, but there we go. Vegapunk, I hope you guys enjoy that list. Now for our BY Luffy, we have a couple BY Luffy lists. Nothing has really changed for this list at all. We haven't really gotten any support. The only change that has been made in this particular list is this Capone Gang Beige. A lot of people are running this. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Yeah, it's a 2K, so they pretty much replaced this 2K right here with the Makino, but in this particular build, they've actually have both of them. So instead of playing 10 2Ks, they're playing 12 2Ks. I'm not sure about that. If anything, he's running 4. I mean, if anything, you guys can run some Ice Ages. You can run some Sabos. A lot of people like running those Sabos, right? Or the Shirahoshi. Look, we'll westernize it right here. We'll westernize since a lot of the cringe people like running Shirahoshi here. So let's put 2 Shirahoshi since that's what everybody likes running. So this is the list for BY Luffy. If you guys are interested, this is one of them right here. I'm going to show you a couple other ones because this is my main deck. And since this is my main deck, a lot of people will be asking me what list for all my like 30-minute you know, type of impressions. So with that being said, let's look at another list. Another list we have right here is this. This is another version of this particular list. BY Luffy. The only thing that is different in this particular list is this card. This is for your Blackbeard matchup. Blackbeard is your hardest matchup in the game, so just being able to bottom deck a stage and rest a 4 cost allows you to rest the Burgess and bottom deck the stage, making your Blackbeard matchup extremely easier. And on top of the Regos as well, you also are running the Sabos just for some more board removal against the Dofi matchup. These are the 2 lists that I found on One Piece top decks. If you guys want to see my personal list for OP10, is this list right here. You know me, I'm always using the aces. We don't play like a pussy. We spin and get the fuck out of here. We don't got time for building igloos, building forts, or we're not playing fucking Fortnite. You know, this is just how we like to play. A lot of board removal, a lot of spinning, getting money, running the streaks, and then we get back home fucking the baddest bitches. You already know how we get down. YGOD type shit, YGOD. But yeah, that's my personal BY Luffy list right here. I gave you guys 3 lists for BY Luffy, so if this is something you are interested in, I showed you my personal list and these 2 right here. Just go ahead and check it out. The 25th deck that we have so far, I'm not even sure this is even in order because the Sims all over the place, is Anel. So this Anel deck list is the #1 deck list version of the deck list I feel like you should be running in OP10. When we just look at all the other cards, the main thing that's, you know, a real spicy tech is this particular Braham. Your hardest matchup is Blackbeard. I think it's rated like 30-70 in Blackbeard's favor. So just being able to rest the stage or bottom deck the stage and rest the Burgess, actually insane. You have some big body characters with the Ace, the Katakuri, and the Yamato, always running them at 4. So board removal with the 2 what's it called, egghead cards with Rocket Luffy and the Nami, very shice. Board removal with the Rego. I have every single version of this deck. I feel like this might be the best version of this deck, me personally speaking, as an old Anel main. Another thing that's actually pretty shicey is this card just being able to end out games. This is really a flex spot right here. You guys can use any card you really want, but when really just looking at the whole entire deck, if anything, I'll put 2 crackers here. If this was me personally, I'm not playing that card. I would literally play Cracker. I will literally play Cracker. I will literally play 2 fucking Cracker, and this would be my Anel list, me personally. I just like the pressure early game. just unmatched. You know what I mean? Just being able to really apply pressure. And another reason why I would like using this particular card, because you guys can actually abuse this underneath Blackbeard. So it forces the Blackbeard player to give up all the shit in his hands. If you don't, your life is about to get ripped to pieces. So, you know, that's another reason why I like this cracker. If not, you guys can use the one that you initially saw before I saved the playlist or the deck list. And yeah, that's my nail list. Another deck we got right here is this Katakuri. I feel like Katakuri is just always just going to be a good deck, just because this has its own version of Blackbeard with this Charlotte Linlin, just being able to rip a life every single turn. This is why Reject had to be banned. It'll probably never be brought back, just because this deck turns into like almost a tier 0 deck. Reject, and then you bring this out, attack at 7 game. You know what I mean? So besides that, everything else kind of looks the same. When we just take a look at everything, if you guys haven't noticed, if you guys are running a yellow deck, everybody's running this card or Braham. Okay, so Braham or this card is really just for the Blackbeard matchup. So if you guys are playing yellow, you guys do want to be playing anything that can help your Blackbeard matchup, because Blackbeard literally, it's already hard enough that your board gets blowed up. I can only imagine when your board gets blowed up and you can't use on plays. You get what I'm saying? So this is pretty much turned off late game. So another good list from our Katakuri players. There you go. Like I said, these are all templates as well. This isn't the all end all be all decks. You get what I'm saying? If you guys have some different shiesty ass shit that you thought of, hey, tell us your deck list below, or just test this. This might just be the deck list for you, but just don't use what I'm showing you as, oh, this is my main deck. Test this bitch out first. It might not fit your playstyle. Test this bitch out first. Main example is this Blackbeard. Blackbeard has a pretty much figured out deck. There's usually only 3 or 4 flex spots with this particular deck. This will be the best deck in the format once Dofi does get hit. The main reason why is because of this particular card right here. This card alone just power creeps this whole entire deck to the next level. If you guys are a Blackbeard player and you guys pretty much know how to play this deck, you guys should never lose. At this point, if I don't see Blackbeard running the meta in the West, I completely lost all hope for everyone. That's just me being honest with you. This card alone pushes this deck to be the best deck of the format, especially when Dofi does get hit. All right, so when we look at other cards outside of this card for flex spots, the only card is this card where I see could be a flex spot. I see some people take these 2 out and put in 2 Laboons for some cost reduction. But outside of that, this deck is literally figured out. I expect to see every single Blackbeard fucking everybody's bitch this format. Okay. Last format, I gave you guys an excuse because it's a little bit harder and the West may be a little you know, slower to learn shit. But with this meta coming out, I expect to see every single Blackbeard topping. If I don't see y'all topping, y'all using something else, I've lost all hope. I can't wait for a synchronization with the East, because I'm just not even gonna pay attention to y'all anymore. So y'all better show up, especially for all the meta slaves. The next deck we have right here is the Gecko Moria. This is Gecko Moria. A lot of people are asking me for this particular deck list. Hey, I'm gonna be real with you. Out of all the black decks out there, I'm still a big fan of this particular deck, me personally speaking, just because I love the card ripping potential with this Perona. This Perona just reminds me of using Delinquent Duo, and it blows up the board. And you guys also get to use my second favorite card in the game. I'll probably say third favorite card in the game is this Gecko Moria as well. This is a soul charge from Yu-Gi-Oh! So if this is one of your main decks you guys do to try out, this is a championship winning list, so go ahead and try it out if you guys are interested in that Gecko Moria list. Next deck we got right here is the Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci has not gotten any support at all for the past 2 sets, and quite honestly, it doesn't really need any support. It's been figured out. This has been solved. This doesn't really need any support. Just being able to abuse the Jack, the Stussy, the Gecko Moria, the Rob Lucci. I mean, this deck truly just doesn't need any support. If anything, when the ban list does hit Doflamingo, the only thing you're really going to be changing out is this card right here. And you guys, I don't know what you guys would replace for this. Maybe probably put another 6 King pistol, but nonetheless, this is the only card you're really going to be picking out or taking out of the deck. Besides that, this deck is figured out, and I don't think it even needs any support. I feel like these black decks are ahead of its time, and the game is slowly catching up to the power of the black and yellow decks. Tell me what you guys feel about that. Next deck we got right here is the Blue Crocodile. Hey, I'm gonna be real with you. I was actually looking at EBO2. EBO2 came out, and this actually topped in EBO2, but they're only using OP10 cards. That's the reason why we're showing it right here. Very interesting deck. I personally never seen this deck be played. I have no clue what this deck does, but what I do know is that it does abuse the Warlord's engine. It almost kind of looks like a blue Dofi deck, and that's the reason why I tell you guys that blue Dofi has to get hit, because there's too many other decks that use a lot of these staples, like the Jinbei, the Weevil, the Law, like, oh, there's too many other Warlord, blue Warlord decks that use all these cards, and that's why I keep telling you blue Dofi is going to get hit. It makes no sense to not hit them, and all these other decks just suffer. I mean, that would be a shitty move by Bandai anyways. Next deck we have right here is this Smoker deck right here. I feel like this is the best black deck in OP10 just because of Tashigi. Tashigi is the main reason why this deck is probably the premier black deck, just because it does work underneath Blackbeard's floodgate type of effect with turning off all on plays. You see it only says on play, the activate main. The activate main is the bread and butter of this deck, and only Smoker can use this particular card. So out of all the black decks, I feel like this is still the best black deck out there, just because if Blackbeard's going to be #1, you guys need to have something that counters the #1 deck, and that Tashigi does exactly that. You're still also abusing the Gecko Rebecca, you know, type of combo as well. So Smoker probably the premier black deck in OP10 in my personal opinion, based off stats of what I've seen for the past 2 or 3 months. Next deck we got right here is PB Luffy. Now I haven't seen nobody play this deck anymore. I feel like it was all hype, which is unfortunate because it has one of the most beautiful arts in the game. I just love the fact that he's gear 5, and you know, just the way this whole entire alternate art looks. But let's be real, and no matter what game you're coming from, usually the best looking cards are usually the worst ones, and this deck just really isn't that good. But hey, this is a first place finish, just being able to abuse this top dot, getting rid of a 4 cost or less. Very shice, very shice. But after that, there's really nothing else really special about this deck. I mean, if you guys are a big fan of PB Luffy, PB&J Luffy, go ahead and play it. This is the topping list, just being able to reset the game with this, ending games off of the Sanji or the Kaido right here, the Gecko Moria, even running the Gecko Moria, and he's also using this brand new OP10 Monkey D Luffy. I've actually never seen anybody even use this card, to be honest with you. First time I'm even seeing this, so you know, another good option as well. But this is a tournament winning deck. Let us know below how this deck personally treats all our PB and J Luffy players out there, gang. So the next deck we got right here is Pluffy. We're actually almost done. Pluffy is a staple. I've been seeing some Pluffys don't even run this card, and I'm gonna be real with you, whatever you're running in OP09, just run that bitch in OP10. OP10, nothing has came to this deck. This deck has been solved since OP09's release. And with that being said, I could show you a top deck from OP10, but just use whatever you use in OP09, OP10. Nothing has changed for you guys, okay? All our Pluffy players, you guys are already solved. Don't need to spin or sell nothing. You guys are Gucci. Another leader that's actually shown up is Foxy. Foxy, the main reason why this leader is so good is because it freezes any leaders that attack. So any effects that have an attack, such as Dofi, Lucci, where it requires them to attack to get their effect, this leader is a countermeasure to it, and that's the reason why you've seen it show up at a couple of these biggest events happening in the East, okay? But nonetheless, here's the deck list. Besides that, you really just lock things down with this Foxy. Very shy, in my personal opinion. I'm not really a big fan of the Foxy deck. Maybe some of you guys are. Look, in the right hands, it can shut down a lot of things, but you know, I'm a set trip. You know what I mean? We just strictly just play of yellow. I've never played a deck outside of yellow, so if you guys do like that Foxy, go ahead and let me know, bro. Go ahead and let me know. The next deck we have right here is the Caesar Clown. So the Caesar Clown did not top at all, but I feel kind of bad going into a brand new set, not showing you guys at least some type of deck list, even though nobody's played it. There's been no tops, no winning deck list. I decided just, hey, I might as well just bless the streets here real quick. So this is a Caesar list. I don't even know if this list is even good or not. I just found it on the internet, saw the code, copied it, and added it to the deck list. But this deck as a whole, I wouldn't say it's trash. I just think it's early in its lifespan and just needs some support, personally speaking. I feel like that this particular leader, everybody was saying this was going to be a RP Law 2.0. That completely fell on its face, and I just think it just needs some support. That's all. It just needs some support. Just misses support. It'll come eventually. Just don't worry about it. So if you are a Caesar fan, don't get too bummed. Don't get too upset. Let's go ahead and get straight to the second hardest combo deck. People are even calling this the hardest combo deck in the game outside BR Luffy. I don't know, they're both pretty hard to use, but you know, it doesn't matter to me. They're both YGOD, but nonetheless, let's go over it. This deck has a really big high skill ceiling on top of that. The biggest thing too is that once this deck high rolls, you pretty much can't lose. But if this deck loses a couple of pieces, or if this board gets really blown up time and time again, this deck pretty much folds. I feel like it just needs a little bit more support from OP11 coming up in the Eastern meta this later on this week. If you guys do not know, OP11 is legal this Friday. This Friday, OP11 is going to be out, so very nice. So the next deck we have right here is the Smoker. This is the championship list that won at the biggest, you know, championship tournament in Japan. You get what I'm saying? So I already featured this deck once already, so if you guys are looking at this, it does look kind of similar. You know, this is literally the same exact list. Only difference I'll tell you for OP10, ST21 will be legal, and that's the reason why we are featuring this card. But this is all OP10 shit. Even though it won with EBO2 meta, this is all OP10 shit. Nothing in here is from EBO2. So if you guys do want to play this particular deck, very good leader, very good effect, abusing the Tashigi, these two, very shice my personal opinion, and being able to lock down the opponents with this kid, unmatched, definitely unmatched. Is this something you're interested in? Very good deck. It won for a reason, you get what I'm saying? So that was a Smoker. We only have 4 more decks. Let's go over Red Luffy. I don't really know shit about this deck. I just know it's just using a whole bunch of broken red cards. Actually, you can see the dragon, the shanks, the building snake, just a whole bunch of red mess here, just a whole bunch of red mess, a whole bunch of good powerful red cards into this leader. I have no clue what this leader even does. Give this leader up to 1 of your characters, 1 rested Don. This leader's effect isn't really even that shice, to be honest with you, but nonetheless, if you're a big fan of Red Luffy, there you go, there you go, there you go. Next deck we got right here is Red Yellow Sabo. So for all our Red Yellow Sabo fans, all our VV fans out here, this is your only deck list that did top in the OP10 meta. You guys did add this particular Monkey D. Luffy speeding up the deck just a little bit, but outside of that, I just feel like this deck is just lacking, gang. I feel like this deck is just really lacking. You guys are abusing one, probably my favorite card in the game is this ace, these 2 aces. No matter which yellow deck I do run, I'm always running at least 2 of these aces. Fact, not an opinion, but all in all, I feel like Red Yellow Sabo is just really struggling. I don't know what you guys need for some support to make you guys a little bit better, but I don't know. I would rather always use Bello Betty. Speaking of Bello Betty, there's actually hasn't been a Bello Betty that topped this whole entire OP10 meta, so I don't have Bello Betty here. We do have the green red Law. I don't know how the fuck this topped. I don't know if somebody just stumbled into the wrong locals and there was a tournament and he ended up happening to have his fucking deck list in his bag and just enter and say, hey, I'm here. But I don't know how this fucking topped. I haven't heard nothing about this deck. And nonetheless, if you guys are our Green Law fan, like it's fucking back in the Stone Ages, here's a deck list for you. It literally came in first place. And the last deck list that we do have is this Sugar. And before we end this video with this Sugar, if I did not feature your deck, just wait to the ban list, because you know this is with the current ban list we have now. There is a ban list getting ready to come out in 2 weeks, so these lists can change. I will probably might make another video based off of you know, what could be good or what possibly is good. But nonetheless, this is the Sugar list. Sugar, I think it's okay. I wouldn't think, I feel like it's a pet deck at best, but this is a first place finish, really just abusing the triggers. And yeah, gang, that's pretty much the deck list for OP10. Look, that's all I got. If you guys like seeing all these deck lists, let me know below. I will be having a video like this for OP11 at the very first week for you guys to try this in the sim. And yeah, let me know below what you guys think. And if you guys missed your deck, I'm sorry, that shit's just ass. Look, I can't put the deck lists on here if nobody's playing it. Clearly everybody thinks it's trash. But yeah, that's all I got. But look, before I go, if you was feeling the vibes, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And out.